Hi, I'm Sarah with the Hobby Lobby Creative Studio. Welcome to our Sew This Bedroom series. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a super easy no-sew lampshade that you can customize to fit any room of your house. To complete this project, you'll need a self-adhesive lampshade that you can find in the home decor section of the fabric department. For the rest of the supplies that you'll need to make a lampshade like mine, check out our printable by clicking on the link for a full supply list. To get started, press your fabric, then lay it out flat face down. Unpeel the lampshade pattern from the shade and place it on your fabric, centering the design of the fabric if needed. Trace directly around the template using a disappearing ink pen. Instead of just cutting exactly around the template, I'm going to add a little extra fabric so I can wrap it around the top and bottom edges of the lampshade to give it a nice, finished, professional look. To do that, I'm just going to add 2 inches to the template on these 3 sides. The template already allows for a bit of overlap at the seam, so we don't need to add any extra on this 4th side. An easy way to mark this is to set a seam gauge at 2 inches and make small tick marks with your disappearing ink pen all the way around those 3 sides of the template. Now you can carefully cut out your fabric, following the tick marks on 3 sides and the line for the 4th side. At this point, go ahead and press your fabric again if needed. You want to make sure it's nice and flat before applying it to your lampshade. Lay your fabric out, print side down, like this. Now, position the shade so that the back seam lines up with the edge of the fabric closest to you. Also, make sure that the top and bottom edges of the shade line up with the lines you drew. Once you have it lined up, gently place the shade down, leaving just the very edge of the fabric exposed. The shade is self-adhesive, but I still recommend applying a thin bead of hot glue along the edge of the fabric just to keep it nice and secure. Quickly press it into place along the seam of the shade. Now, rotate your fabric and shade so that the loose end of the fabric is closest to you. Using the lines drawn on the back side of the fabric to line up with the edges of the shade, slowly roll the shade towards you. Make sure to hold the fabric taut the whole time you are applying the fabric to the shade. As you go, run your hand along the inside of the shade to help smooth out small wrinkles or bubbles and to help really secure your fabric to the shade. Keep an eye on your fabric to be sure you aren't getting any wrinkles. If you notice one forming, stop and re-roll that section so it's nice and smooth. Once you've made it all the way around, you're ready to finish up your back seam. Fold the fabric under to where it will slightly overlap the raw edge of fabric on the back seam. Press across the fold with your fingers, then carefully secure it with a line of hot glue applied right at the very edge. Now that you've applied the fabric to the outside of the shade, you're ready to fold the extra fabric around to the inside, giving it that clean, professional-looking edge. Position the shade so the top opening faces you. Starting at the front middle of the shade, fold the fabric over once so it almost meets the edge of the shade, and secure the fold with hot glue. Do this all the way around the shade, moving little by little until you have it all folded and glued. Now, again starting at the front middle of the shade, wrap the fabric up into the inside of the shade, again applying some hot glue to secure it in place. Continue working your way around the shade, doing a small section at a time. When you get to an area that has a wire from the shade's frame, cut a little slit in the fabric to allow it to go around the wire. Just be sure not to cut past the edge of the shade. Glue it into place on both sides of the wire and keep going. When you've got the top edge done, flip the lampshade around and finish out the bottom opening just like you did the top. Here's what your lampshade should look like after you're done finishing out that bottom edge. Now, you're ready to add the tassel trim. To measure out your trim, just wrap the tassel trim around the bottom and add about an extra inch. Starting again at the seam of the shade and working in small sections, apply a generous line of hot glue along the bottom of the shade. Line up the bottom edge of the trim with the bottom edge of the shade, and press it into place. Continue working your way all the way around the shade. When you get back around to the back seam, cut the trim so the ends fit flush up against each other. Glue to secure it in place, and you're all done. These lampshades are such a great, quick way to add a custom look to any room. Well, that's all for today, guys. Be sure to check out the rest of the videos in our Sew This Bedroom series for more great DIY room decor ideas. Enjoy, and we'll see you again here next time at the Hobby Lobby Creative Studio.